Hello! I have some stuff to show you guys or to share with you that I'm learning. And to start off, what was the title? Title was, Why Do Astronauts See a Globe, Earth, from Space? And I can actually switch to a different video really quick, just to show you what they see from the space station. Hopefully it stays muted. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to show you this for a minute. This is a time lapse of what they see, basically what they see. Okay, so then I'm going to pause that. Okay, we all know water. We've all been to the ocean and we've all seen with our own eyes. Well, not all of us have been to the ocean, but anyone that has, we've seen with our eyes a very flat world. And we've sent balloons up in the air and we've seen a really flat world. Now, there's two things that I kind of want to, like, two main points that I want to mention. One is fisheye lenses, like the photography that's done on the ISS especially. They're using a fisheye lens, which a lot of the balloons that people send up have a fisheye lens on it. It makes Earth look like a globe. The Felix Baumgartner, when he jumped from 125,000 feet, they used the fisheye lens, and it looked like he was on a globe, or jumping, for a globe. So there's a few things I want to point out. First is I gotta use a video from Woketown, and what I'm gonna do is I'll put a link I'll pin the link in the first comment for a few videos that I'm gonna show here. But Matt Long, Woketown, had a very great video, and I'm gonna play it right now. It's only about a minute long, so we'll watch that really quick here.
This magnifying glass represents our personal atmospheric dome by which we view celestial phenomena in our world. Believe it or not, everything we see is magnified by the water particles in the air. And so we're going to start over the North Pole, which is where Polaris is, the center of the flat Earth. And you can see as we go south, even though these are circles around the North Pole, it actually creates kind of a fictitious southern pole star there as we move out from the north, which would be south. You can also see how if you were in the north, you would see the moon right side up, and if you're in the south, you would see it upside down. And as these stars do circles around us from east to west, you can see how in the south they would appear to be rotating in a counterclockwise direction as opposed to north.
We're gonna have to watch that again too, by the way. Let's do that right now.
Magnifying glass represents This magnifying glass represents our personal atmospheric dome by which we view celestial phenomena in our world. Believe it or not, everything we see is magnified by the water particles in the air. And so we're going to start over the North Pole, which is where Polaris is, the center of the flat Earth. And you can see as we go south, even though these are circles around the North Pole, it actually creates kind of a fictitious southern pole star there as we move out from the north, which would be south. You can also see how if you were in the north, you would see the moon right side up, and if you're in the south, you would see it upside down. And as these stars do circles around us from east to west, you can see how in the south they would appear to be rotating in a counterclockwise direction as opposed to north.
Okay, I'm seeing Roderick, good to see you. Clouds Behind the Sun, good to see you. And Speak Life Garden Homestead and Permaculture says, I hear you, but my video is spinning a load screen over ISS. Can you guys let me know if that's just their screen, or does it seem all right? Hey, Rakia Life and Wally S, good to see you. I just want to check to make sure, but I'm sure you guys would have said something. Maybe try refreshing. Yes, the letter J is safe here. In 2020, did I say that right? 2020, there is a letter called J. and I have no problem with it. Okay, so there's a video that just got uploaded, I think today, from a channel called, I think it's called the Slow Mo Guys, and they have a really nice camera, and they do a lot of cool videos, slow motion videos. Really, really nice cameras. And so I'm gonna put his link to his channel in the video in the pinned comment too. I just wanted to wait until I showed you guys this, and then after we talk about the astronauts seeing a globe and us living on a flat Earth, I think there's a clear answer to this, and I think Matt Long here, Woketown, does a really good job of explaining, not precisely why, but after a few videos that we look at briefly, I think you'll understand what I'm getting at. Okay, good. You're all set then? Good deal. Okay, I was kind of worried about there, just to make sure that everything was working. So, all right. So let's see here. Okay, here's an interesting video I want to play. This is a video taken from the International Space Station, and it was, what's his name, Alexander Gerst or something like that, that shot it. And it is as they're flying over Russia, there is the Russian Soyuz launching astronauts up to the space station, and so they pass it up and they actually watch the rocket launch, and then you can see the stages falling back to Earth and stuff. But I want you to pay attention to, you can clearly see the edge of the atmosphere, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about. But let's watch this video really quick. The music's probably terrible, but I'll just say good. Okay, I just wanted to pause it there because you can see them inside and outside. Let me rewind it a little bit. You can see when they go through that atmosphere line or whatever. Okay, the rocket is, you can see it. You gotta probably look kind of close, but I'm just gonna kill the sound, sorry. See how it goes up, and now it's continuing to go up higher, and then it does the separation. Now watch that thing fall back to Earth and burn up, or it should be in a minute here. Maybe I missed it. Either way, okay, see that how there's a difference in what we're looking at. Whoops. Oh, there it is, falling. Okay, so I believe this to be real footage. That doesn't mean it's real footage. I believe it's real footage. Let's watch. Well, let's just finish this. It's only like 20 more seconds. So that falls back to Earth, and you can barely make it out, but you'll be able to see kind of like a red plume, I believe. There you can see it now. Now it's going to work its way to the space station, and I think it's about over. So you can see the layers there. Whoops, I paused it just at the end. That's where I wanted to leave it. Is it gonna work? No. Okay, that's good enough. So when we're looking through that medium of air, or if we're above that medium of air, what is above that? The waters above. Dark waters. So yeah, I know, I agree with you guys that it looks like CGI, but I am going to say this, that this is one of the most important things for anyone to understand. We don't struggle against flesh and blood. There is no person sitting at a computer making these videos from scratch with CGI to fool the world. That's just not happening. I know a lot of people believe it is. The Freemasons and the Jesuits and whatever. There ain't anybody hiding the shape of the earth that knows they're hiding the shape of the earth. There's a lot of people believing that they live on a ball. So anyway, but the dark waters above, okay, what happens when we look through water? And actually, that's why I'm going to play this, the slow-mo guys video. I'm not going to play the whole video. It's 11 minutes long, but I'll probably skip around in it a little bit, and it's very interesting what he's doing in this video. So let's check it out really quick. If it'll play. Oh, there we go.
Did Slow-Mo Guys video.
Let me start over. Okay.
Hello, I'm Gab and welcome to this solo hosted Slow-Mo Guys video. This video is sponsored by LG, and to help us make it, they've kindly provided this colossal television, which is currently displaying the live feed of a Phantom camera sat right over there. So why don't we take a look at the setup. There is a set of stills photos online by a German photographer called Markus Rugels, I think is how you pronounce his name, who's done a bunch of droplet photography. So as the droplet falls into the water and then rises back up and separates from its column, he'll take a picture and it will refract an image through the droplet behind. So he's done the Earth and other planets, and we're going to basically replicate that but have a video element so you can actually see it in motion and hopefully see the separation of the droplet, and it'll just look like the planet Earth.
Okay, I'm just pausing it there because we've all had this idea that we know what the planet Earth looks like, right? Planet Earth. It's round. Astronauts say it's round. They know. They've been up there. They've looked at it from God's point of view. Be careful. So let's just watch some of this. I've probably skipped through a lot of it because we don't really need to hear about his camera setup and all that. But the point is that I want you to look at how he can make a globe out of the picture that we're looking at on his wall there, that flat map.
There's a little globe in a tiny droplet of water. Now, in order to make this work, we need to flip the world upside down.
Let me skip forward just because he shows the footage.
Because this is such a fiddly shot and this camera's very loud to stand next to, I'm going to play it back on the 8K OLED. While we watch these back, I'm going to turn off the on-screen display so we don't have anything. It's me. Oh yeah, do you like that? That was cool, wasn't it? What do you think of the droplet? I want to get just a bit more like map and the droplet as sharp as I want them at the same time. We're only at 3,000 frames a second though, so it is a little bit briefer. Oh, it's still long enough to see it.
It's a globe.
I'm liking this. I really enjoy videos like this, just experimental ones where you can just change one variable each time. Currently the only light is on the map. There's still, in every shot there's been sort of like a black border around the whole thing, and I think that's mainly because
What a sweet camera, huh? The water's above. Just think about that.
So now I'd love to tell you a little bit about this TV. This is the...
Okay, let me just scroll through and see if I can find a little bit better of a shot. At the beginning he was a little zoomed in a little bit more. I'm just skipping around a little bit trying to find. Okay. Maybe this will work. I just want to watch a little bit.
I do love how the 12,000 frames, the separation here should be really, really nice. What do you think, Smee? Oh yeah. Did
Wow.
you like that? That was cool, wasn't it? What do you think of the droplet?
Okay, so now I'm gonna actually right before I went on live, actually about an hour before I went on live, my program that I'm using to do these videos, it bombed on me, and I had to restart my computer and redo everything. So I'm not fully prepared like I want it to be, but I have, let's see here, where is that? Oh, here it is. Okay, I just want to play this in the background. Okay, this is me flying in space. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, there's some verses that I think are probably important, and I've got some of them here on my other computer, which we'll check them out in a little bit. I wanted to, I'll just do it on here. I gotta look up Job, and I can't remember the verse. I forgot to do this. I want to say 26. Give me a second here. Sorry, guys. Okay. I think it's like 26:14 or something. Nope, that's not. Oh, 26:10? Yeah, okay. Job 26, verse 10. He hath compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. Is that what we're looking at right here? The day and the night. The darkness and the light. The pillars of heaven tremble and are astonished at his reproof. He divideth the sea with his power, and by his understanding he smileth through the proud. By his spirit he hath garnished the heavens, his hand hath formed the crooked serpent. Lo, these are parts of his ways, but how little a portion is heard of him. But the thunder of his power, who can understand? What is that? He compassed the waters with bounds. So, I guess what I'm saying is, there is a video, and I couldn't find it really quickly here, but maybe I should look now while I'm trying to explain it. There's a video that I made a long time ago, and it basically what it was is, if you think about the globe Earth with the sun on whatever side, okay, that means that half of it would be in darkness and half of it would be lit up by the sun if it was a globe, okay? So you'd have darkness and light. And if the ISS is going around like this, they're going to see a half an orbit of light and a half an orbit of dark, right? And I really wish I knew where this video was in my computer. Let me just think. It's got to be right here somewhere. There's a video where they do a half an orbit. I think that's what it was. Or a full orbit, or whatever it was. And in the video, it looks like they go around the Earth about 5 times before the nighttime comes in. And so what I understand from that is that they're not seeing the edge of the Earth. They're not seeing the edge of the Earth in these videos, like the video behind me. That's not the edge of the Earth. That's just what did it say? That's the farthest we can see. That's, he divided the day and the night. And so if you're going to go up there, first of all, if you're looking through the waters above, is that going to distort the image? I'll probably play Matt Long's video in a minute again, Woketown, because it's such a quick, efficient, full of information that's vital video. But I'm just looking for, I can't remember what I titled it. That's the problem with having like 1,000 videos on my computer. It's hard to know what to name them all, I guess. Oh, here it is. Yes. Okay, we're gonna watch this video. I named it These NASA Guys. Okay. Let's watch this video, and the point I'm making in the video should be clear. Let's just watch. I'm gonna mute the sound. I already videos getting blocked, or my videos are getting blocked worldwide, and it's because of the music a lot of the time. So daytime, night. Watch this. How many spins does the Earth do to go around the Earth halfway? Do you get what I'm saying? If you held a basketball in your hand and spun it, seems like that would be like 5 turns or something. Watch. Wouldn't we like be around to the other side right now? But they're still going. So what I've come to a conclusion that, there we go, I'm going to pause it there. I like that. Earth is not a globe. Let's watch Matt Long's video again. Just think of the waters above. Think of looking through the waters above, and then down through all the atmosphere, the air, and just watch Matt Long's video here again.
This magnifying glass represents our personal atmospheric dome by which we view celestial phenomena in our world. Believe it or not, everything we see is magnified by the water particles in the air. And so we're going to start over the North Pole, which is where Polaris is, the center of the flat Earth. And you can see as we go south, even though these are circles around the North Pole, it actually creates kind of a fictitious southern pole star there as we move out from the north, which would be south. You can also see how if you were in the north, you would see the moon right side up, and if you're in the south, you would see it upside down. And as these stars do circles around us from east to west, you can see how in the south they would appear to be rotating in a counterclockwise direction as opposed to north.
Brilliant. I love that video. I wonder if he's got Wolftown on here. I think he probably does. Maybe. Maybe not. So thank you, Matt Long, for that great video and demonstration, or whatever you want to call it. So let's see here. I do, okay, 2 things. I have, when I'm done showing you this stuff or whatever, I made a video with Von Braun, Werner Von Braun, and the firmament. It's just a short, like 4-minute video. I'll play that after, and then I might try playing, I don't know if I should, because I don't think there's anything in, I don't know why, I made a movie called Effed Up Movie like a year, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, and I uploaded it at least 3 or 4 different times, and people watched it, but then it got blocked worldwide. And I think YouTube has kind of changed some of the ways that they do things. Now when you have something blocked worldwide, which one of my last videos was, and it took me a little while to edit it, but it was just a song that I had to remove out of there, and then it's like no problem. So I might play this because it's almost the only way to find out why it's blocked worldwide. But that's an hour-long movie, and I might play that when we're all done and take my chances. But it's pretty good stuff. It's, yeah, it's good stuff. So let me go see if I got some verses here. Because I think basically, if you're going to look down through the waters above, which we probably don't know everything about those dark waters and the thick clouds of the skies. In Genesis 1 verse 2, it says that there was darkness over or upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved over the waters. So there's waters above. Remember, he divided the waters from the waters with the firmament. So if they are going somehow to the other side of the firmament, or in the firmament, and they're going to look down on the earth, I would have to say I might expect to see a globe, or what looks like in this. Let me see if I can just quickly find a place in this video. Like that, right there. Looking through water we all know how that changes. It bends the light to look differently. That camera that guy has is impressive. And that LG screen he's got there is pretty crazy too. But all he's doing is just dropping a dripper into some water, and he's got his camera. He tries a couple different lenses and stuff. Whoops. I guess. Plus he's got to advertise for LG because they gave him that. There we go. Whoops. Let's see what this looks like, because we can zoom in on it. Dark waters above. So hard to say. Like, it's hard to put it to words. I'm just saying they're seeing an optical illusion from the space station. They're seeing an optical illusion of a flat map, a flat Earth. Because we all know how that's a problem with people today is just because we've grown up and lived in a world our whole lives that believes a certain way, when truth is brought before us and we reject it, even if it goes against all the things we believed our whole life, it's still truth. So when we go to the ocean and we see that straight, flat water, all the way from there to there, how is anyone going to say, but ships disappear going away from you? It makes no sense. It doesn't work. A sphere is uniform as far as if you're standing on the top of a sphere, it's going to drop in every direction around you. And it's going to drop the same amount. I mean, if you're over the water. Because if gravity is gravity and it's pulling the water towards the center of the earth, then it's going to be uniform and like a perfect shape if it's water. So that's why we do our test over water that's flat. So it's like we're arguing with the astronauts. We're saying, no, water's flat down here, and they're up there going, no, but we can see that it's not. We can see a globe. So the point I'm trying to make here is that this is what I believe is happening. They're looking through waters, and they don't understand how the waters make things look. You know what I mean? Sparrow Music says, no, that's wrong. What's wrong? So I think that was about it. All I had on that. Maybe we can watch this video. Or no, I don't want to play that because I'm all worried about my videos are getting blocked a lot lately, and I don't know why. Oh, this is one that I did want to play. Let's just watch this. This is Skunk Bay. I don't remember exactly what it is. Okay, I got an answer from Spirit Room Music. He said, Joe, you shouldn't expect to see curve left to right. Well, let me ask you a question. just approximate for me, or take a, give your best general guess at, if you're standing at the ocean and you look all the way to the left, and the farthest you can see away from the left, from the farthest away you can see from the right, how far is that in miles? Just take a guess. I mean, I'm not like going to hold you to it. I'm just saying, just give a general estimation. Are we talking 5 miles, or are we talking 20 miles, or are we talking 100 miles, or are we talking 500 miles? What are we talking? Because that will probably help me explain. If you're standing at the ocean and your eye level is about 6 feet above the I'll get to that in a second. If your eye level is about 6 feet above the surface of the water, on a sphere that is 25,000 miles in circumference, you would have a horizon at 3 miles from where you are. So as a ship sails out away from you, at 3 miles is when it's going to start to appear to go down the curve. And the reason why I say appear is because it's not going down a curve. It's actually getting covered up by waves and the air in between you and it, and all the different things that I don't know what to call it, the effects that the air has on the light that we're talking about. Spearman Music says, first, you are forgetting how big the Earth is. No, I know exactly how big the fake ball is. It is 25,000 miles in circumference. But also think about equidistant. Okay. If the perceived horizon is, say, 3 miles away, and you look all around it, or all around, it will still be 3 miles away, equidistant. Okay. You're talking about we could call it the vanishing point, or where the sky appears to meet the water is what you're talking about. But if you're standing at, like, how you didn't give me a number there. How far can you see if you're looking left to right? I mean, just an approximation. I'd say over 100 miles myself, because when I'm 25 miles away from Minneapolis, and when I put my drone up in the air and look towards Minneapolis, St. Paul is 9 miles away from Minneapolis, and they're like right next to each other from 25 miles away. So if we go out, it's over 100 miles that my drone can see just in its view. Now turn your head. We're talking about quite a few miles. So what I'm saying is, we can even go with less miles. If you said 20 miles, let's say you could see 20 miles from left to right with turning your head, like if you're standing at the ocean. If you could see 20 miles, then a boat on that left side and a boat on the right side, they're not going to see each other. But it's not because of curvature, because you're standing there looking at a straight line. That's the only problem with it. I'm going to chalk it up to a problem with the way that you're thinking. And I'm not trying to rip on you, Spearman Music. I'm just saying, if you are going to say that you're seeing a ship go down a curve as it sails away from you starting at 3 miles, then what that would mean is that if you went off to the side and looked towards that ship and looked back towards where you were standing, you're still going to see a perfectly straight line. So it's something else that's making the boat disappear. He says, no idea, possibly 100 miles. So take that picture, compress it. You get curved. You must have not caught my video last night, huh? Because compressing an image of a straight line doesn't give you curve. Sorry. If you take a straight edge, and that's what I was saying to Simon Dan in my video last night, you need to go to the ocean and double check what you're thinking, because it is not anything but a straight line. It's a perfectly straight line. And I mean, put a straight edge there. Put a straight edge there and compare it. Build a deck railing that overlooks the ocean. Your deck railing is straight, flat, perfectly straight line. and it matches perfectly with the ocean. Any house that's on any ocean that has a window in it, the bottom of that window lines up perfectly with the water, unless the window's out of level. So I think some observations need to be made. That's what I would say. The bottom of the ship is being covered up with waves. Waves. Because if you're looking out to the ocean, and if a ship is shrinking in angular size, the waves 2 miles from you or 3 miles from you are going to cover up the small size of that ship quickly. Once the ship is smaller than the waves, angular size wise, I mean. And this is something that you can set a camera down on the beach and just looking straight out of the water, you're going to see waves covering up other waves. And so what you're going to see if you look, like I look across a Lake Mille Lacs. Actually, let's do this. Let me pull up a video just because we can kind of have it playing in the background. This is a good one. I forgot about this video. This is something it's only like 35-40 seconds long. This is my camera touching the water. So it's on the water, and I actually got my camera wet, pointing it across the Mille Lacs Lake in Minnesota, and here's what we see. So if it was on the water, touching the water, what if you're looking out over flat water? That's the only way you're going to see the other side of the lake, because with no viewer height, if there's curvature, you have less than a mile, and stuff's going to be, you know what I mean? I think it was like 0.73, like 3/4 of a mile, because I think I did the 1.5 inches up, because my camera, the center of the lens would be up 1.5 inches. Plus it's hard to have it right in the water, but I did get it wet. It didn't hurt it though. But let's watch this video here. Okay, so this is my camera. I'm holding it right on the water, and I zoom in. Now that tower right there, or the radio tower, not the water tower, but the radio tower in the center of the screen right now, that's 15 miles away. There, I got it wet, so I had to kind of, so you can see it on the screen there. It was just a wave came and splashed it. But you'll see this water tower. The water tower is like 13.25 miles away. And those trees are 13 miles away, right on the shore. So I guess I didn't have the water tower in there, but I'm going to grab a different video. This one, I can show you some things in this video. This is the same lake, and some of these things are very far away. But this is a good lake because you can see all the different, see how far away some of the fish houses are and how close some of them are. And wait a minute, what's this right here? Okay, I gotta explain what we're looking at. Okay, this right here, see that house on the other side of the lake right there? I know it's all grainy, but that house, this is Grand Casino, and my camera is at the scenic, you can look into this if you want. My camera is on the scenic overlook or whatever in Isle, Minnesota, on the other side of the lake. ISLE, Minnesota. And it's, I think, almost 13 miles from where my camera is to Grand Casino. Where's the curvature? How come we can see that house? Now, there's another video that I'm going to grab, if I can find it. I know where it is. Sorry. Full videos. No? Ah, yes. Okay. This is an observation I made. Okay, I'm going to pause it. Right now my camera is 25 feet above the surface of the water, or the snow, or whatever you want to call it. So this is all a lake that we're looking across, and you can see this house with 4 trees in front of it. Just this house is 9.5 miles away from my camera, and with a 25 foot viewer height, and this is just off the top of my head, I might be off. It's something like 6 miles to where there should be the horizon. And if you watch, you can see. Let me zoom in and just try to show you. Okay, see how these trees here? See how they're coming out lower than what looks to be the road up here? Well, I got some vehicles driving by in a minute that we'll watch. There's one driving on the ice road, and then there's another one actually delivering mail to this house. And you can see where the road is, and you can see where the water is. And because these trees kind of come out from the water a little bit, they're like on the edge of the ditch. So let's see here. Let me zoom back out, and then we'll just play it. I think this is the right video. Or no, this is an 8-minute video. Oh boy, this ain't the right one. But okay, there's a truck on the ice road. So you can see how it's opposite. You can see how it's lower. It's lower than the road is. Let me find the other video. That wasn't the right one, but it's the right video. But sorry, I don't want to have to try to go through it and find the car delivering the mail, because I have it somewhere else. Somewhere else. Might have to go to that one. Well, let me play another different video, I guess. The point I'm trying to make is that there's no curvature when you're down here on the ground. Oh, here's a good one. We'll play this one in the background. Oops. Okay, those are those trees right there that we were just looking at. So this is kind of a video that's the same observation, but it's during the summer, I think. Actually, I show it both. I show the summer and the winter. So there's the house on the right there. That's the house we were looking at. 9.5 miles. That red line there is our line of sight. Those are the trees that kind of coming out from the shore. The point I'd make is, okay, I'll just watch this. Okay, there's the guy delivering mail. You can clearly see it right where the road is. And the road's maybe 5-6 feet above the water. Just like it looks right there. And I think, okay, now here's during the summer. Look what the water does to what we see. Now these cars, they're coming up to that house. They're not there yet, but I want you to see what happens. Whoops. The cars kind of start disappearing. This is only from the air we're looking through. Now here comes that house in a minute here, and you can see him drive by that house. Right there. See that house with the trees? Okay. So during the winter and during the summer, it's entirely different with when we're looking over frozen water and when we're looking over not frozen water. But let's see here. I'm going to go back to this one really quick. I just want to see what was in this video. Oh, I guess this is the video. Okay. So kind of looking at that house, I'm going to go to the right around the lake. Where was that house? I think I just missed it. Okay, there's the house. So that's where we're looking from. And now I'm going to kind of do some sightseeing. Those townhomes are 5 miles away. The ones on the left there. They're about 5 miles away. This is a Nikon P900, I believe. So So I'm gonna kind of follow the shore a little bit. There's an island right there. I forgot what it's called. Spirit Island or something. I don't remember what it was called. There's a house on it. Or, yeah. So there's our little house there. Now, see the angular size, how different it is from... Let me rewind a little bit. Okay, see this island? Oops. Okay, I'm just gonna pause it here really quick once. Oh, that's... Man, I went really far. Sorry, guys. Okay. Just compare the size of the house that's on the island, this red house right here. That's... I think it's about 2 miles away from my camera. And then when we go up to 9 miles away, look at the angular size of that house we've been looking at across the lake. This is the same thing a boat would do as it's sailing away from you. See how small that is in comparison? That's what a 7-mile difference will do. So we can see around this lake, we can see the fish houses that are teeny at the other side of the lake, and we can see the bigger ones that are closer up to us. Okay, now that's a frontage road, and I'm gonna pause it when we get to a certain point because there's something that I want you to see. Oops. There's a car that drives by, and I want to show you the angular size of it. It's so small. I'm just waiting for the right... There's like an island of rocks, and I don't remember what it's called. Been a long time. Oh, I think it was right there. Okay, see how these fish houses are really small? That means they're farther away than these ones. Just saying. Okay, look at... Do you guys see these cars in the background? I'll rewind it, but okay, right there and there is a car. You'll see them moving here. Okay, you see them driving? I'm going to back up and replay that. I go back to about 150. So keep your eyes peeled for those two cars. That's like 12 miles away, or maybe 11 miles away. Right there, somewhere there. Where are they? Right there, going down that hill. See that? See those cars? How teeny they are? And then we're gonna keep going, and we'll see that casino. Those are the houses on the other side of the lake there. And there's some fish houses too, but that house right there is the other side of the lake. Where's the curvature? That's like 12 miles away. There's no curvature. There's another house on the other side of the lake. On the shore. How much evidence do you need of being able to see very far? Let's see, where's the casino is coming up. Oh, there we go. I gotta pause it there. Let's look. Oh, there's that island. That island is 8 miles away, I think, from my camera. 8 miles. And it's maybe 3 miles from the shore on the other side. But I gotta go back just a little bit just to show you how small these little houses are. I'll pause it at the right time here. Where are they? Look at that. See that? Those fish houses like are close to the other shore. Can barely make them out. I think even if I go a little further, there was more. Yep, right there. Look at that. That's the other side of the lake, you guys. You can drive there and you can check it out. That is... Like last year, I should probably play a different video. I went and I drove my truck out on the lake. I got an ice road pass, and I went out on the lake, and we went out 4 miles, and that's all the further that the road went. And if you go out 4 miles, you see the shore all the way around the lake. It's up to almost 20 miles. It's like 19.2 miles or something from Isle to Garrison. And in this video right here, you're going to see Garrison. I'll keep playing it. I didn't plan on doing this video or playing this video, but it's a pretty good one. So that big pile of rocks right there is 8 miles from the camera. 8 miles. There's some fish houses. So the point I would make, the part I would want to say is, if we're here showing you actual footage from optics that we have that we didn't have before, and we're out testing these things, and we're out proving these things, why would you want to stay believing a lie? Because the astronauts say it looks like a ball. Looks like a ball from up here. We got pictures from space. When we all should be considering the waters above, that looking through those waters is going to distort things and change. Maybe it's a trick. There's the casino there. That's like 13 miles or something from the camera. I don't remember exactly. Let's see. I got a comment on something in the chat. D-E-W. You guys need to do your research. Don't think about that like you're thinking about it. That was like an experimental project. They made like 2 concept planes. That's just that's truth or garbage. That's what I'm going to call it. Truth or garbage. There's 0 evidence for any plane starting a fire. That's just something that people say. So there's my take on that. Not trying to offend, just saying. Yeah. Sorry. This water tower is the one that's by the casino. And let's see. There should be another one. Okay, that radio tower right there. That communications tower is 15 miles from the camera. 15 miles from the camera. It's 1.5 miles from that shore. From the opposite shore. So, sorry it's so bumpy on the camera. I'm riding my snowboard right now. Just kidding. There's another water tower. That water tower is a 1/4 mile away from the shore. 1/4 mile. No laser. Well, show me evidence of it. Because I can go into Photoshop and I can put a laser shooting down from the sky on top of a fire too. I've seen, like, yeah. So there we go. Now we're looking very far. Those trees on the opposite. Okay, right here is Garrison. Okay, that tower right there, that's like 17 miles away from my camera. It's obviously up on a hill, but right there, where it dips down right there, that's Garrison. That's like 19 miles from the camera, and we're seeing the trees. So, all right, you guys want to watch this video with Wernher von Braun? I think we want to. And I'm just gonna disappear myself, but I might come back on. Because I'll probably read through some of the chat while this is playing, and yeah, let's check out Wernher von Braun.
We all realize that the first lunar landing will be a hard act to follow. There's only one moon, and I'm afraid we can't offer many more spectaculars like that in the years to come. The interest and the attention of the space program will now be turned to put all that new capability to use for Earth-related applications, for the benefit of man, for the benefit of the taxpayer and his less favored brother in underdeveloped and hungry countries. That is what I will pay my attention to in the years to come in Washington. Exciting of them probably is the Large Space Telescope, a telescope that will enable astronomers to look about 10 times as deeply into space as the big telescope in Mount Palomar.
Some people have said we can look so deep into space with that space telescope in orbit that we may be able to see the hand of the Maker. That we may be able to see the hand of the Maker.
The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. Alright, so I got some verses to go over, and I was reading what P.D. White said. Aluminum melts at 378 Fahrenheit. The trees and vegetation were intact if the photos were to be believed. And there's a lot of, I guess, if there's a forest fire, it gets very hot, I'm sure, and doesn't burn the actual trees down. Burns everything off the trees, probably, the leaves and even branches, but the trees are left standing usually, because it's hard to get just like a log lit on fire. You have to have kindling to kind of keep it lit. But oh, where did I go? There I am. Okay, I am gonna play that effed up movie, but I wanted to read some verses that I had pulled up on my little laptop here. Matthew 24 verse 31. I don't remember, I'm sure as I go through, there's like a few of them, but I had something on my mind. I can't remember exactly what I was grabbing these verses for, but I'm sure we'll I can't remember, but I'm going to read Matthew 24, verse 31. Or actually, I'm going to read 30 and 31. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. They shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. I remember now. It was the winds. The winds. The winds. The four winds of heaven. Let's see here. Okay, we're going to go to Mark chapter 13, verse 26 and 27. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then shall he send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. And let's see. Okay. Why did I put this one here? Oh, okay, here we go. Jude verses 12 and 13. These are spots in your Feast of Charity. Actually, I'm gonna go back a verse. 11 through 13. Woe unto them, for they have gone the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Balaam for a reward, and perished in the gainsay of Kor. These are spots in your feasts of charity, when they feast with you, feeding themselves without fear. Clouds they are without water, carried about of winds. Trees whose fruit withereth, without fruit, twice dead, plucked up by the roots. Raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. Then we've got Daniel 7. I'll just read verses 1 through 3. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. So those four great beasts, they came up from the sea, but which sea? Because Jude, the one we just read, verse 13, when it says raging waves of the sea, that's talking about space. Because of what it says next, foaming out their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. Wandering stars. Stars are in heaven, up there. They're nowhere else. Okay. Daniel 8. Again, we're talking about the same thing. I'll read verses 8 and 9. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great, toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. Then we've got Revelation 7, verses 1 through 3. And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. So does that remind you of what we read in Matthew and Mark there? He said, I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. Remember, Jesus is going to send his angels out to gather his elect. In Matthew 24, verse 31, it says, And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. They shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of heaven to the other. And then, oops, that's Daniel again. And that was it. That was all I had for those. But I believe right now that he sent his angels out, and that's probably why we know each other. Probably why you come to my channel, because the angels are gathering together his servants. They're getting sealed in their forehead. So flat earth, it's the truth. Believe it. That's what I say. Because if you believe it, I believe that scales fall off of your eyes, and you can suddenly see, not suddenly, but you can see some things that you could not see before. And I'm witness to this in my own life. This happened to me. I know a lot of people in the chat here have had the same thing happen to them in their life, where they were blind. Let's see, I'm gonna look it up on this. I want to read something in Luke. I'm not sure if it's Luke 7 or what, but sorry, give me a moment. It might be Luke 8, 10, I don't know. Let me just find it. So, yeah, this is good stuff. Okay, Jesus was healing, where is this? I'm just gonna read this chapter, or part of it. Yeah, I'm just gonna read Luke 7, because I want to. Okay, I'm gonna try to set it here without making too much noise. Okay. Luke chapter 7, verse 1. Now when he had ended all his sayings in the audience of the people, he entered into Capernaum. And a certain centurion's servant, who was dear unto him, was sick and ready to die. And when he heard of Jesus, he sent unto him the elders of the Jews, beseeching him that he would come and heal his servant. And when they came to Jesus, they besought him instantly, saying that he was worthy for whom he should do this. For he loveth our nation, and he hath built us a synagogue. Then Jesus went with them. And when he was now not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to him, saying unto him, Lord, trouble not thyself, for I am not worthy that thou shouldest enter under my roof. Wherefore neither thought I myself worthy to come unto thee, but say in a word, and my servant shall be healed. So he believes that Jesus can just say the words. And that's awesome. But let's see. For I also am a man set under authority, having under me soldiers, and I say unto one, Go, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it. When Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him, and turned him about, and said unto the people that followed him, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And this does apply to what I'm trying to say about believing the truth. As this story shows you, if you have faith, Jesus can do miracles, or he will do miracles. But if you don't have faith, if you don't believe, he's just going to move to the next town and see if they believe. So I'll keep reading, sorry. When Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him, and turned him about, and said unto the people that followed him, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And they that were sent, returning to the house, found the servant whole that had been sick. And it came to pass the day after that he went into the city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and much people. Now when he came nigh to the gate of the city, behold, there was a dead man carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow, and much people of the city was with her. And when the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and said unto her, Weep not. And he came and touched the bier. I don't know what that word means. B-I-E-R. And they that bare him stood still. And he said, Young man, I say unto thee, arise. And he that was dead sat up and began to speak. And he delivered him to his mother. And there came a fear on all. And they glorified God, saying that a great prophet is risen up among us, and that God hath visited his people. And this rumor of him went forth throughout all Judea, and throughout all the region round about. And the disciples of John showed him all these things. And John, calling unto him 2 of his disciples, sent them to Jesus, saying, Art thou he that should come, or look we for another? When the men were come unto him, they said, John the Baptist hath sent us unto thee, saying, Art thou he that should come, or look we for another? And in that same hour he cured many of their infirmities and plagues, and of evil spirits, and unto many that were blind he gave sight. I'll read that again. And unto many that were blind he gave sight. Then Jesus answered and said unto them, Go your way, and tell John what things ye have seen and heard, how that the blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, to the poor the gospel is preached. And blessed is he whoever shall not be offended in me. And when the messengers of John were departed, he began to speak unto the people concerning John. What went ye out into the wilderness for to see? A reed shaken with the wind? But what went ye out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they which are gorgeously apparelled and live delicately are in king's courts. But what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yea, I say unto you, and much more than a prophet. This is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. For I say unto you, among those that are born of women there is not a greater prophet than John the Baptist, but he that is least in the kingdom of God is greater than he. That's interesting. Roderick, I don't know if I probably can't scroll up as high, but Roderick at the very beginning of the chat, I saw he said first, and then I don't remember exactly what it was, but he said something about being last. That's funny because I was just reading that now. And all the people that heard him and the publicans justified God, being baptized with the baptism of John. But the Pharisees and lawyers rejected the counsel of God against themselves, not baptized of him. And the Lord said, Whereunto then shall I liken the men of this generation, and to what are they like? They are like unto children sitting in the marketplace, and calling one to another, saying, We have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. We have mourned to you, and ye have not wept. For John the Baptist came neither eating bread nor drinking wine, and ye say, He hath a devil. The Son of Man is come eating and drinking, and ye say, Behold, a gluttonous man and a winebibber, a friend of publicans and sinners. But wisdom is justified of all her children. And one of the Pharisees desired him that he would eat with him. And he went into the Pharisee's house and sat down to meat. And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment, and stood at his feet behind him weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with ointment. Customs were a little different at that time. Now when the Pharisee which had bidden him saw it, he spake within himself, saying, This man, if he were a prophet, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that toucheth him, for she is a sinner. And Jesus answering said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And he saith, Master, say on. There was a certain creditor which had 2 debtors. The one owed 500 pence, and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me, therefore, which one of them will love him most? Simon answered and said, I suppose that he to whom he forgave most. And he said unto him, Thou hast rightly judged. And he turned to the woman, and said unto Simon, Seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house. Thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she hath washed my feet with tears, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gavest me no kiss, but this woman, since the time I came in, hath not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven. For she loved much, but to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. And he said unto her, Thy sins are forgiven. And they that sat at meat with him began to say within themselves, Who is this that forgiveth sins also? And he said to the woman, Thy faith hath saved thee, go in peace. Saved thee, go in peace. I like the book of Luke lately. It's like one of my favorites. So, I'm just checking a couple things. Are you guys ready to watch the video that keeps getting blocked worldwide? I really don't know why this video gets blocked, but I will probably after this. So if it's like a little while that this video is unavailable, you'll know why. It'll be because of this, but it's not like they're gonna do anything to my channel. It's not like that kind of being blocked. It's just for a song or something. Where are we? Oops. Okay. What I'm gonna do is remove myself. Oh, where'd I go? Okay, I'm gone. And we will watch. It is called Effed Up Movie. And thank you guys all for coming. And I'll probably be just hanging in the chat for, it's an hour long. So here we go.
And to continue the dream of Apollo.
We stand on the shoulders of giants that came before us.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Apollo.
The goal of SpaceX is to try to advance rocket technology, and in particular to try to crack a problem that I think is vital for humanity to become a spacefaring civilization.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
And now Elon Musk is the card. But Elon Musk is sending up huge rockets into the space. He's sending these rockets up. Do you know what he plans to do next? He's going to put people on them and send them up to the moon. The people that have the money, they're going to go up to the moon. What are they going to do? They're going to look out the windows and photograph the earth. Think of all these people that are going to be going up. And this is a few years, it's not long in the future. And they're going to be photographing this round, blue, beautiful planet out here in space. Thousands of photographs and videos from the space station as it moved in the heavens above the earth. Such a magnificent sight, it took his breath away. Right now, you can log on to the internet if you want to. And you can go to the International Space Station, the ISS, and you can get a live feed from that space station. Right now, you can watch it as it moves across the face of the Earth.
So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is.
Let's start talking about space and what you've been doing there. Obviously, you've had some success landing the rocket.
Probably, and the most significant thing is being able to land an orbit-class rocket.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
If you spin a marble or a coin on a coin funnel, when it's far out, it sort of spins slowly, and then as it gets closer, it spins faster and faster. And if you were to start at the bottom of the coin funnel and you wanted to exit, you'd spin it horizontally, and it would spin out, and that's really how you get to orbit. Yeah, so the gravity well is like a funnel.
Why you want to land on a ship in the ocean?
Because in order to get to orbit, all that matters is your horizontal velocity. Your altitude doesn't really matter. In fact, the force of gravity at say the sort of nominal boundary of space, 100 kilometers, is almost exactly the same as it is on the surface of the Earth. So like if it's a few percent lower than the surface of the Earth. So in order to go up and stay up, the only thing that matters is how fast are you going horizontal to the Earth's surface. So you have that outward radial acceleration, or think of it like maybe like tetherball or something like that. It's really that outward acceleration is the thing that matters. And so when the rocket is going to orbit, the only reason it's going up is to get out of the thick part of the atmosphere. Because at high velocity, the atmosphere is thick as molasses. And so it goes up very briefly, but if you look at a long exposure of the rocket's trajectory, you'll see it goes up, but immediately curves over and starts going horizontal. And so at the point at which the point at which the stages separate, there's 2 stages.
After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured, and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns.
The primary boost stage, which is the most expensive part of the rocket, the point at which that staging occurs can be as high as Mach 10. But it's going away from the launch site at 10 times the speed of sound. So in order to get back to the launch site, you would have to have enough fuel and oxygen to reverse out that velocity and boost back all the way to the launch site. And you just don't have, the physics of it don't really allow you to have that much. It's not about saving money on fuel or anything, it's just physically impossible. Because another sort of thing about if you're in space is that there's nothing to react against. So, like whereas an aircraft can circle very easily because it's reacting against air, in vacuum there's nothing to react against. So the only way to go back the other direction is to apply just as much energy as it took you to go. If you want to go backwards, you have to apply just as much energy as it took you to go forwards. In fact, well, twice as much really, because you've got to zero it out, and then you've got to.
So you've got to land elsewhere.
Yeah, so bottom line is this thing is zinging out to
So-
sea at 10 times
So at
faster
that
than a bullet.
point, it may well be over the ocean because the ocean covers most of the...
Oh, it's actually, at the point of separation, it's not that far away. It's maybe 100 kilometers away from the launch site, but it is going like hell in the opposite, away from the launch site. So the only way to really land it is to have it continue on that arc, that ballistic arc, and then land far out to sea on a ship that's pre-positioned to a particular latitude and longitude, very, very precise, to within about a meter. And then the rocket will then go from vacuum through rarefied air at hypersonic velocity. So when it's in vacuum, it has to, obviously you can't use aero surfaces, you have to use nitrogen jets to control the attitude and position. And then as it starts to encounter the air, we use grid fins, because grid fins look like sort of like a waffle.
And it had great iron teeth.
They work quite well across a wide regime, from both very high velocity hypersonics through supersonic, transonic, and subsonic. So it's hard to have aero surfaces that work well across that entire regime. And then, so once the aero forces become high, it uses the 4 grid fins to sort of control its attitude.
To land itself.
Yeah, it's controlling it's controlling pitch, yaw, and roll with the grid fins. And then those grid fins will then position it to where it's fairly close to the ship, and then it will light, in this case, 3 of the 9 engines to arrest the velocity, and then drop to 1 engine for precision right before landing.
Right. Why is that important? Why has this moment been important for you?
Well, so in order to reuse the boost stage, which is about 70% of the cost of the rocket, so that...
Which cost is that? How much is that?
Well, I mean, it's sort of on the order of $30 to $35 million.
We've been going to space for, 50 years or something like that?
Yeah.
Nobody, until you started doing this and Jeff Bezos' company has done it, the government never sort of saved the rockets.
Yeah.
They never saved the pallet of cash. Why not? And the Russians didn't either. I mean, what was the deal there?
Yeah, I mean, there was some attempt made to do that with the space shuttle, but there was no return. It's the first time that a rocket boost has returned to launch site from an orbital mission, and certainly the first time that there's been a landing on a ship out
But
to
the
sea.
regular rockets that went up that weren't designed like planes never tried to do this.
Right. The plane thing is not a good idea in my view. The plane, and the reason I think is, like, intuitively it seems like a plane should work, but actually if you consider that really every mode of transport has a design that is appropriate to its medium, and if you're in space, wings are not very useful because there's no air.
The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
And then if you want to go somewhere other than Earth, there's also no runways. So these are important considerations.
And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death.
So that's why when they went to the moon, they used propulsive landing.
Right, but what I'm saying was when they built the space shuttle, it sort of was looked like a kind of bulbous
I think that appealed
plane.
to Congress, yeah. Yeah.
They went, cool, cool.
Yeah, it looked like an airplane.
Can you explain Jeff Bezos?
Good one.
Jeff Bezos was here last night, and I asked him, what's the difference between what you're doing and what Elon Musk is doing? And he said, well, I think we have, I think he used the word like-minded in the general sense of it, and then he went on to explain some differences. But he talked about, and correct me if I'm misquoting him, but I think he was saying, this is all about laying the foundations of being able to do greater things by getting the basic infrastructure of being able to reuse these rockets down right. Is that correct? Do you have a similar starting point from him and your thinking process?
I think there's certainly some similarities of opinion. I think both Jeff and I believe that it's important for the future to be a spacefaring civilization and out there, ultimately be out there among the stars. And I think
Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord.
I think that's the exciting, inspiring future that I think certainly people in this room want.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
I mean, I think when I say, multi-planet species, like, that's really what we want to be. It's not like, still being a single planet species but moving planets. It's really being a multi-planet species and having civilization and life as we know it extend beyond Earth to the rest of the solar system and ultimately to other star systems.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
I think that's the thing. That's the future that's exciting and inspiring, and I think that's what, you need things like that to be glad to wake up in the morning. Like life can't be just about solving problems. Like, there have to be things that are inspiring and exciting that make you glad to be alive.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven.
So in the immediate time frame, what is your goal for SpaceX now that you've done this, which is a huge accomplishment? What is the plan for you in the immediate time and then the longer range?
Sure. So we plan to refly one of the landed rocket boosters, hopefully in about 2 or 3 months, something like that. And then so that'll be an important milestone. So far, the stages are looking like quite good, even though they come through quite. It's a really difficult re-entry situation, but they're looking like they're in good shape. And we now have 4 of them. So we want to start reflying them, towards the end of summer, and then hopefully by the end of this year we'll be launching Falcon Heavy, which will be the most powerful rocket in the world by more than a factor of 2. So Falcon Heavy will be on the order of 5 million pounds of thrust on liftoff, which is about 2/3 the size of a Saturn V.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that's the rocket that took the astronauts to the moon.
Right. Exactly.
So,
in fact, we're launching from the same pad, from the Apollo 11 pad.
And deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
The launches will take place, every 2 to 4 weeks. There's quite a high launch cadence.
That's a much faster cadence than NASA had, right?
Yeah, it'll be more launches than anything else in the world.
And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
So more than Russia, more than Europe, more than China by next year, certainly.
And largely to deliver customers' satellites.
Yeah, there's a lot of broadcasting communication satellites that are going to geosynchronous orbit, and then we'll also be launching the new Iridium constellation. So that Iridium's got a next generation constellation of satellites. I think 60 or 70 satellites, quite decent sized satellites. That'll be, I think, many orders of magnitude improvement over the current Iridium system. So we'll be able to have global broadband. So that'll be a whole bunch of launches, and and then next year we'll be flying Dragon version 2, which is the one that's capable of taking up to 7 astronauts to the space station.
I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things.
In fact, Dragon 2 really it's a propulsive lander as well, and it'll be it's intended to carry astronauts to the space station, but it's also capable of being a general science delivery platform to anywhere in the solar system. So
where are you going with it?
We're going to send one to Mars in 2018.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
Now, let's
Wait,
talk about
wait. 2018, that's for sure.
Yeah, a couple of years.
Couple of years.
Okay.
Now, will you be on that flight?
No.
You have talked about this. You said you don't want to, you want to die on Mars, just not on landing, right? Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I think if you're going to choose a place to die, then Mars is probably, not a bad choice.
All right.
But you're not ready.
It's not some sort of Martian death wish or something. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to be born on Earth, die on Mars.
So sending this up to Mars 2018, right? Sending this up to Mars 2018, when will someone like you get there from your plans?
Sure, so the 2018 mission would be our Dragon version 2.
Right.
And I think if things go according to plan, we should be able to launch people probably in 2024 with arrival in 2025.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth, and them which dwell therein, to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live.
What's the solution?
Yeah, so I think the I think it's to essentially, I think one of the solutions that seems maybe the best one is to have an AI layer. If you think of like you've got your limbic system, your cortex, and then a digital layer, sort of a third layer above the cortex, that could work well and symbiotically with you. I mean, just as your cortex works symbiotically with your limbic system, your sort of a third digital layer could work symbiotically with the rest.
This is something that's surgically inserted or bred into the species, or what?
The fundamental limitation is input-output. So we already have, we're already a cyborg. It's just that, I mean, you have a digital version of yourself or partial version of yourself online in the form of your emails and your social media and all the things that you do. And you have basically superpowers in that with your computer and your phone and the applications that are there. You have more power than the President of the United States had 20 years ago. That you can answer any question, you can video conference with anyone anywhere, you can send a message to millions of people instantly. You just do incredible things. And but the constraint is input-output. So we're I/O bound, particularly output bound. I mean, like your output level is so low. It's like, particularly on a phone, like your 2 thumbs are sort of tapping away. This is ridiculously slow. Our input is much better because we have a high bandwidth visual interface to the brain. Like our eyes take in a lot of data. So there's many orders of magnitude difference between input and output. So mostly, effectively merging in a symbiotic way with digital intelligence revolves around eliminating the I/O constraint. So it'd be some sort of direct cortical interface.
And you called it a neural lace?
Neural lace, yeah.
It's totally not Google Glass, right?
No, I'm talking about something
but it's
which...
like you wear it? Or
No, I mean, it would be... I mean, there are a few ways to approach this, but some sort of interface directly with your cortical neurons particularly.
But doesn't that imply surgical insertion?
Not necessarily. You could go through the veins and arteries because that provides a complete roadway to all of your neurons. Your neurons are very heavy users of energy, so they need high blood flow. So you automatically, with your veins and arteries, have a road network to your neurons.
Still some kind of surgery, right? Some kind of surgery. Right?
Yes, but you could insert something, basically, into the jugular, and have. it gets macabre, but
It sounds
I mean,
really easy and
it doesn't involve
risk-free.
it doesn't involve like chopping your skull off or anything like that.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, if we can figure out how to establish a high bandwidth neural interface
With ourselves.
with your digital self, effectively, then you're no longer a house cat.
You can see the International Space Station with your naked eye. I've seen it. You know, you look up and people are looking at it and they got their binoculars and they're looking at it, and you know, it's a little light dot and it's moving. No.
And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is.
Well, wherever it is, I don't like it, and I'm getting out of here.
And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast, they behold the beast, they behold the beast, they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have 1 mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords, and King of kings, and they that are with him are called, and chosen, and faithful.
show you something in 1 John chapter 2, verse 26. These things I have written unto you concerning them that seduce you. We need to start understanding who our enemy is. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. We need to take these words seriously. Let's look at the word seduce. Leading astray, 4105 Strong's. Let's look at this. It is the root of the English term planet. Wandering body. This term nearly always conveys the sin of roaming. I lead astray, deceive, cause to wander.
Against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. And against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host.
And I went round to a place where nothing was made, and I saw a terrible thing, neither the high heaven nor the firm ground, but a desert place, prepared and terrible. And there I saw 7 stars of heaven bound on it together, like great mountains, and burning like fire. 7 stars, like great burning mountains.
And the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood, and the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter.
Then I said, For what sin have they been bound, and why have they been thrown here? And Uriel, one of the holy angels, who was with me and led me, spoke to me and said, Enoch, about whom do you ask? About whom do you inquire, ask, and care? These are some of the stars which transgress the command of the Lord Most High, and they have been bound here until 10,000 ages are completed, the number of days of their sin.
And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, on which the woman sitteth.
And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying,
Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying,
Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities.
And from there I went to another place, more terrible than this. And I saw a terrible thing. There was a great fire there, which burnt and blazed, and the place had no cleft reaching into the abyss, full of great pillars of fire, which were made to fall. Neither its extent nor its size could I see, nor could I see its source. Then I said, How terrible this place is, and how painful to look at. Then Uriel, one of the holy angels, who was with me, answered me. He answered me and said to me, Enoch, why do you have such fear and terror because of this terrible place and before this pain? And he said to me, This place is the prison of the angels, and there they will be held forever. 7 stars like great burning mountains, and like a spirit questioning me, the angel said, This is the place of the end of heaven and earth. This is the prison for the stars of heaven and the host of heaven. And the stars which roll over the fire, these are the ones which transgressed the command of the Lord from the beginning of their rising, because they did not come out at their proper times. And he was angry with them, and bound them until the time of the consummation of their sin, in the year of mystery. And Uriel said to me, the spirits of the angels who were promiscuous with women will stand here, and they, assuming many forms, made men unclean, and will lead men astray, so that they sacrifice to demons as gods. And there I saw 7 stars of heaven bound on it together, like great mountains, and burning like fire. This place is the prison of the angels, and there they will be held forever. And Uriel said to me, the spirits of the angels who were promiscuous with women will stand here, stand here, stand here. And they, assuming many forms, made men unclean, and will lead men astray, so that they sacrifice to demons as gods. And they will stand there until the great judgment, on which they will be judged, so that an end will be made of them.
And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, on which the woman sitteth. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition.
Mystery. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me,
Wherefore didst thou marvel? And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, on which the woman sitteth. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
America will lead mankind to the stars once again. The Johnson Space Center knows well the high cost of inaction. The men and women of NASA have always been committed to American leadership in space, but too often our policymakers have failed to match your conviction with action and investment for the future. The last decade is proof. The end of the Space Shuttle program in 2011 left America without a viable human space launch program.
And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death. And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast.
While I was a member of Congress, I actually had the opportunity to attend 3 different shuttle launches. Sadly, for more than 7 years, we've been forced to hitch a ride to space. Many Americans don't know that we've actually been forced to pay Russia to carry American astronauts to the International Space Station. And today, that cost runs about $82 million per seat.
And his feet were as the feet of a bear. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat and great authority. The beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat and great authority. And his feet were as the feet of a bear.
Those days are about to be over.
And his deadly wound was healed.
I'm going to make you a promise. Soon and very soon, American astronauts will return to space on American rockets launched from American soil. You know, when we ended the shuttle program, it was more than a loss of momentum, though. It was really a tremendous loss for America's space workforce.
The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
The end of the Space Shuttle program meant that many of our leading researchers, technicians, and space professionals no longer had a mission. Here at the Johnson Space Center alone, some 3,200 contractors were laid off. Cutbacks and consequences rippled through universities, research labs, our space industrial base, and even the Department of Defense. I mean, these were men and women who you knew, you worked with. They were men and women of creativity and intellect and unparalleled skill, but they were frankly victims of our government's short-sightedness in those days. America lost nearly a decade of space experience. We worked very closely with private industry to deliver critical cargo and material to the International Space Station.
And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
Through the Commercial Resupply Services, which has already successfully completed 23 different missions with more on the way.
And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
As we speak, you're making remarkable progress on the Commercial Crew Program. Earlier this month, as President Trump celebrated himself, NASA announced the astronauts who will conduct the first flights on Boeing's Starliner and SpaceX Dragon, and they'll be going as early as next year. America will not ever abandon the critical domain of space.
Then I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward, and northward, and southward, so that no beasts might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will, and became great. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we have ignition. The Super Dracos have ignited and are pushing the Crew Dragon off the pad. Engines have shut down as planned after about a 5.5 second burn. The trunk is detached. Trunk deployed. Dragon is tumbling as planned. The drogue chute has deployed as planned. Drogue is good. Thank you.